Melee in 2024 has been very exciting. There's lots of competitive tournaments with useful data to determine who's had a better season than their peers. However, there is no obvious order that everyone can agree on. There have been a bunch of upsets and lack of consistency from the world's best Melee players. So, before we get into ranking players based off their performance in the first half of 2024, let's look at the tournaments that got us there. And just to preface, there are hundreds of tournaments that happen every month, so going through every single event would be very time consuming. Narrowing down the search to regionals, majors, and super majors is my priority. My guideline for what counts as a regional is if there are 5 or more top 100 level players, with a top 10 level player counting as double. Additionally, tournaments will be classified as a major if there are 2 or more top 10 level players and a lot of top 100 level players in attendance. And a super major if there is 5 plus top 10 level players and a considerable amount of top 100 level players in the bracket. Interestingly enough, the first half of 2024 ended up having way more super majors than majors, partially due to the communication between the top 10 to agree on which events to attend. So most events had most of the top 10 or none of the top 10. There's likely some more specific reasons alongside that, but regardless, that's the classification used for this video. Without further ado, let's start with January. The first month of the year had no majors or super majors, but a fair amount of regionals. New England Spartan 2 featured an event only for ranked players, which Sheik main Dr. Lobster was able to take home over Beckvin, Calvar, Trail, and Bonfire 10. Virginia Monthly It's Not You It's Melee saw an influx of top MDVA talent at its 10th iteration, with last year's second best player Zane winning the event over Silly Willy, Egg, Malachi, Milkman, and Maelstrom. A new Southern California monthly series popped up called Mango in Progress, with some of SoCal's finest attending. Mango's friend Lucky was able to take the W over Cuba Troupa 985, Curve, Nut, and Zio. A New Jersey regional called Failsafe Winter appeared with a lot of skilled Tri-State players and a few other East Coast players pulling up. Top 30 Sheik main Crudo was able to be the victor over 404 Cray, Wally, B-Bats, Mott Money, and Bond. Another SoCal regional named Davies Smash Bash was hosted, with almost 100 entrants, including Lucky getting a second SoCal victory over Fiction, Null, Curve, Nut, and Zio. Maryland and Virginia had an invitational called MDVA Summit with 20 high-level players in the area. Top 60 Fox Kevin Maples was able to prove he isn't just good versus Donkey Kong, and took home the event over the likes of Maelstrom, Crike, Prometheus, Juicebox, Shabo, Malachi, and Egg. Florida had a Melee circuit with the finale of the second iteration being hosted in January. Panda the Fox main was able to win over Moth, Akir, Crudo, Wevins, and Komodo. Mountain Mania was the second largest event of the month, hosted in North Carolina and having over 120 players in attendance from all over. Australian Fox Joshman was able to win the event over Logan, Kevin Maples, Grab, Colble, Panko, B-Bats, Moth, S-Deems, Zasa, and Sharks. And the largest event in January was Egg Dog Scramble 2, hosted by one of the new sponsors in Melee in British Columbia, Canada. Almost 200 players traveled to this stacked event, with Sheik main Spark winning over Sunsei, Chango, Iron, BZ, Aklo, Elliott, Polo, Zamu, Graves, Dawson, Fohebro, and Cody's secondaries. While there were no majors or super majors this month, players like Spark, Joshman, Kevin Maples, Lucky, and Panda were able to get some good head-to-head records alongside their event victories. Now on to February, which had a large impact on the mid-season ranking. To start off, SFAT made his return by winning Abbey Tavern Major Warm-Up in NorCal over Rom, Kevbot, Umarth, Snap, Iron, and Nick M. Witt. Mango in Progress returned to SoCal, this time with the top 10 Sheik J-Move showing up and winning the event over Koopa Troopa 985, Lucky, Curve, and Asashi. It's Not You It's Melee 11 had over 100 entrants from all over Virginia, with Peak main Malachi getting first place over Kevin Maples, Egg, Silly Willy, Daniel, and Red. Melee Fridays at Boulder turned into a pre-local due to a large regional the next day, with Spark winning the Colorado event over SDJ, Ben, Curve, Slowking, Stiv, Fizzwiggle, and Preeminent. Smash Valley Revival in Pennsylvania had over 100 entrants, with Slug, the former top 10 ice climber, returning to form over Logan, Dreffin, Dawson, Kim, Mott Money, Wally, and Fudge. Valhalla 4, the first European regional of the year, had almost 200 players travel to Denmark, where Priscent the Fox main came out of nowhere to win the event over Nikki, Solo Battle, Fat Tino, Frenzy, Yade, Pipsqueak, Max, 100 Grand, Mo, and Ya Raiden. And Altitude Sickness was the largest regional in February, with over 220 entrants. Players from all over North America traveled to this Colorado event. Crudo was able to win another stacked regional over Kadoran, Spark, Joshman, Null, Ben, Aura, Bobby Big Balls, Ultra, Preeminent, SDJ, Zealot, Khalid, Fishbait, Slow King, Skurzo, and Fizzwiggle. Let's get to the major tournament in February, Full Bloom 2024. In Indiana, over 350 players attended the event, including top 10 players Zane, Mango, and Jmu. While they all made top 8 at this event, some surprises were Michigan Marth Ossify and West Virginia Peach Surmaris defeating Mango, both getting top 4. Jmook and Zane had some more back and forth sets, with the Virginia Marth able to get the win. Other top 100 level players in attendance were Aklo, Lucky, Grab, Salt, Polish, Free Palestine, Skurzo, The Real Thing, Prince Abu, Michael, KJH, B-Bats, Dreffen, Crike, and about a dozen more. And now for not only the biggest event in February, but the biggest event of the year so far. The week before Full Bloom, over 1,500 players made their way to Genesis X in Northern California. This event has been a mainstay of competitive Melee for years, some calling it the Super Bowl of Smash. Almost every member of last year's Top 100 alongside a slew of contenders and formally ranked players were present for what is known as the event to go to if you live on the west coast of Northern America. The players who made top 8 were not too surprising, but Arizona Marth Fox dual main Meds made a historic run all the way to 9th place, beating Dr. Lobster, S2J, Magi, Crudo, and Aklo. Additional huge upsets before top 8 were Virginia Chic Juicebox defeating Panko and Spark, Texas Puff SDJ beating Triff and S2J, Carolina Marth Logan getting wins on Salt and Zamu, Florida DK Akir defeating Sunsei and Gatsu, Upstate New York Chic Zanya beating Bobby Big Balls and Rocky, Canadian Puff Faust winning versus Magi, and British Chic Max getting a win on Surmaris. For the top 9 seeds, Mango was the only one not to get top 8, losing to Jmook and Hungrybox. 7th place went to Hungrybox, who lost to Wizrobe and Zane, along with Wizrobe, who lost to Cody and Moki. The 2 5th placers were Jmook, who lost to Amsa and Moki, and Leffen, who lost to Cody and Zane. Moki got 4th place, losing to Leffen and his fellow Moist Mogul Zane, while Zane got 3rd, losing to Amsa twice. Amsa was the runner-up of Genesis X, losing to the reigning number 1 player in the world, Cody, who dropped no sets and only 5 games for the entire event. February saw a lot of valuable data for players all over the top 100, with Cody, Zane, and Amsa looking like the potential top 3. Lower down in the top 100, Meds, Crudo, and SDJ had very good results during the second month of the year. Next is March, the only month of the year with 2 super majors and also had 10 regionals. EtsuCon 2024 in Tennessee was won by Grab the Kentucky Marth main over Bobby Big Balls, Den, Simmons, Daniel, and Cop. Null the SoCal Fox won a hometown regional called Titan over Curve, Koopa Troopa 985, Khalid, and Zio. It's Not You, It's Melee returned in March with 77 entrants, Maelstrom being the victor over Silly Willy, Juicebox, Malachi, Don't Test Me, Crike, and Egg. Bop Me 25 in Indiana saw some of Midwest's finest show up, with Zamu winning over Michael, Morse Code 762, Balloon Day, and Slow King. The Arizona Melee Championship had 24 of the best in the Southwest, first place being earned by Spark over Salt, Meds, CPU Zero, Azel, and Eddie Mexico. Crowd control at Bar Lucci in Ohio saw over 100 entrants, with The Real Thing winning the event by outplacing Dreffen, Malachi, Free Palestine, Balloon Day, Goody, and Surmaris. Mango in Progress returned with the GOAT winning the tournament named after himself over the likes of Joshman, Magi, Koopa Troopa 985, Kevin Maples, Curve, and Asashi. Minnesota's 17th iteration of their monthly tournament had almost 100 entrants, with Crudo getting another regional win, this time over Ossify, Ben, Ginger, Preeminent, 100 Grands, Slow King, and Nakama Man. The pregame in New Jersey had over 60 players in town for a super major the next day, and was won by Panda, who outplaced Aklo, Crudo, 404 Cray, B-Bats, The Swooper, Mott Money, Nikki, Triff, Preeminent, Crike, Mayor, and Zuppy. The most stacked regional of March was SoCal Star League number 1. There were 2 divisions full of high-level talent, with the top 3 in Division 2 moving up to Division 1 the following week. After Swiss pools and a single elimination top 8 bracket, Fiction walked away the victor over Magi, Mango, Kadoran, Null, SFAT, Koopa Troopa 985, Khalid, Kevin Maples, Ringler, Nut, Joshman, and Curve. As I mentioned before, there were 2 super majors this month, Collision and Battle of BC. Collision started hosting Melee alongside Ultimate last year, and has become one of the premier East Coast events to attend. This year, the New Jersey Supermajor had almost 500 attendees, including 6 of the top 10 and around 50 players in contention for top 100. Some unexpected upsets before top 8 were Inky the Canadian Sheik defeating Junebug's Donkey Kong, Triff the Spanish Peach beating last year's Collision champion J-Mook, the new King of New York Aklo getting 17th after losing Fox Dittos to Lucky and Joshman, New England Sheik Bonfire 10 defeating Logan and B-Bats, Lucky and Junebug both beating the regional Slayer Crudo, Kim, the Tri-State Fox beating former top 10 Peach Laud, Mateo and Itai winning against Tri-State Puff Toussaint, Nikki the European Ice Climbers beating Ossify and also having a Game 5 set with Zane, MDVA Yoshi Daniel defeating New York Fox Kada, and Wally the Tri-State Peach beating KJH, Kadoran, and Kim to getting 9th place as someone not even expected to get top 32. Top 8 winners side consisted of 4 of the top 6 seeds, with J-Mook losing early and Moki losing to H-Box in quarters. This meant that the 3 and 4 seeds had to play in losers top 12, with the Canadian Fox getting a Game 5 victory. Magi, Salt, and Joshman also made loser side top 8 by beating players that made upsets and winners, giving them lower seeded opponents once Lucky, Wally, and Triff lost in winners quarters to Cody, Zane, and Mango respectively. The 2 7th place players were Salt the Texas Falcon losing to Joshman, and Magi the Louisiana Falco who lost to Moki. In winter semis, Mango lost to Zane, and Hungrybox defeated Cody for the first time in 7 months, leaving Mango to play Moki and Cody to play Joshman. Moki got his first offline win ever versus SoCal Falco, and despite Joshman defeating the Tri-State turned Michigan Fox in the past, Cody would prevent the upset and move on to top 4. Moki lost to Cody in the Fox Ditto to get 4th, and after Zane beat H-Box for the 11th time in a row, Cody got his run back against the Florida Puff. Despite Cody's very favorable lifetime record, Hungrybox defeated Cody again, causing the number 1 in the world to get 3rd place at his second major of the year. Grand Finals went to Game 5, but Virginia Marth Zane was able to win over Hungrybox to get his first 2024 Supermajor victory. A few weeks later, Battle of BC 6 was hosted in British Columbia, Canada. While this event wasn't the largest at a little less than 400 attendees, there were still a large amount of high-caliber players, including 8 of the last year's top 10 and around 30 other top 100 level players. The 2 most surprising results before top 8 were Sunsei beating Cody and Joshman defeating J-Mook, both in winner side top 24. This put 2 of last year's top 3 down a very long loser's path if they wanted to make it far in the bracket, and potentially ruin the chances of anyone in their way. Some other upsets were Casper the SoCal Fox beating Arizona Puff CPU 0, Salami over Zuppy and Casper, Anchovy the Peach from Washington State winning against Mango's friend Null, Graves over Mateo and Luigi Cawmaster, Paladin the Tennessee Fox over BZ and Preeminent, and Canadian Falco Elliott, aka The Weapon, beating Egg Money the Canadian Yoshi. Mango and Hungrybox both got easier winners top 8 paths due to earlier upsets, with Mango beating Sunsei and H-Box beating Joshman. The more contentious sets in winners quarters was Zane defeating the Battle of BC4 champion Leffen, and Amsa finally defeating the Yoshi Slayer Moki. Unfortunately, due to the predetermined bracket progressions, Moki and Leffen had to play another top seed, causing them to both get 9th, losing to J-Mook and Cody respectively. Leffen lost to the top 2 seeds, and Moki lost to the 4th and 6th seeds. Unfortunate for them, but for rankings that focus more on head-to-head rather than placings, they won't be too worse off. Sunsei was not able to keep the momentum of beating the top seed and lost to Salt to get 9th, while Joshman bounced back and beat Aklo for the second time at the March Super Majors. The first 4 top 8 matches went as expected, with J-Mook beating Salt, Cody beating Joshman again, 4th seed Amsa defeating 8th seed Mango, and Zane winning versus H-Box yet again. In losers quarters, J-Mook and Cody continued their losers runs, with each of them winning matchups that have been historically difficult. J-Mook defeating Hungrybox, and Cody beating Mango. When their paths finally crossed, Cody got the win versus rival and doubles partner to get a guaranteed top 3. Zane and Amsa played in winners finals, and while this set was a Game 5 nail-biter, the Japanese Yoshi got his 3rd win of the year against the Virginia Marth, sending Zane down to play Cody. They had each gotten 1st and 3rd of the last 2 Super Majors but hadn't got a chance to play, but now was a chance for the reigning top 2 players to duke it out. But in a quick 3-0, Cody was the victor, and he moved on to Grand Finals for the Genesis runback against Amsa, this time with the Yoshi in winner side. Amsa looked to be in a great position to win his first Super Major in over a year. After all, he just beat Moki, who had years of Yoshi experience. However, Cody steadily took game after game, until he was the Battle of BC 6 champion in a 6-0 Grands performance and 9-set losers run against some of the best players in the world. Cody, Zayn, and Amsa seemed to remain at the top 3 for the first quarter of the year, while Hbox, Moki, and Jmook all got a few good top 10 wins. Joshman, Sunsei, and Triff all added a large win to their resume, and a lot of other players obtained solid results to guarantee their spot somewhere on the top 100. April was not quite as stacked as February or March, but still consisted of a Super Major and 8 regionals. It's Not US Melee 13 was not quite as big as the 3 previous iterations, but still hosted top-level talent, with Donkey Kong main Junebug beating Malachi, Egg, Large Marge, Red, and Milkman. Thunder Throwdown was hosted in Texas, with Salt being the victor over SDJ, Wally, Bobby Big Balls, and Polka. Scarlet Classic 9 in New Jersey saw Aklo get an event win over B-Bats, Maybe, Logan, Mott Money, 404 Cray, and J-Flex. House of Pain in Illinois had over 100 attendees for Melee, with Salt winning another April regional, this time over Blue, Zamu, Coffee, Unsure, Essie, Ben, Preeminent, and Slow King. CT GamerCon 7 saw over 120 players enter this Connecticut event, with Crudo adding to his regional resume by winning over Skurzo, Toussaint, E-Poodle, Beckvin, Trail, 404 Cray, Mott Money, Dr. Lobster, Calvar, and Bonfire 10. Mango and Progress 5 served as a pre-local for another SoCal regional, and despite losing to Sunsei in winners, Zayn was the winner over Mango, Sunsei, Lucky, 404 Cray, Joshman, and Koopa Troopa 985. Ohan's birthday bash celebrated the tipped-off TO by having 96 Melee players travel down to Georgia. Crudo won yet another regional, this time over Kadoran, Joshman, Panda, Komodo, Colbel, Spark, Don't Test Me, Pog Epic Gamer, and Cop. And the most stacked regional of the month was yet again SoCal Star League, hosted by Aiden Calvin of the Yard Podcast. This event featured almost the entire SoCal PR, along with a few other notable East Coast players. After lots of close sets, the Virginia Marth won his second regional in 3 days, outplacing Mango, Sunsei, Kadoran, Joshman, Fiction, Koopa Troopa 985, Steech, 404 Cray, Curve, Nut, Lucky, Asashi, Khalid, Wrangler, and Franz. To add on to SoCal's strong list of events this season, Pat's House returned for the first time in 7 years. The 4th version of this beloved Smash series only had 307 attendees, but had 5 of last year's top 10 and enough top 100 contenders to make this the 4th Super Major of the year, and the 3rd one on the west coast of North America. Some notable upsets before top 8 were Okami BW, the San Diego Sheik, over Koopa Troopa 985, Mexican Sheik Far winning versus Eddie Mexico and Zio, Snap the NorCal Fox over Pennsylvania Puff Dawson, Cliche defeating Nut, Unsure and Omar beating Khalid, causing the top 50 Puff to get 65th, Floopy over Steech, Graves defeating Curve, and Joshman getting 17th after losing to S2J and Malachi. Cody, Zayn, and Moki all made winner side top 8 as expected, while Mango beat Jmook in a small upset to also get guaranteed top 6. Sunsei beat Lucky, Meds beat S2J just like at Genesis, Spark beat Kadoran. While technically an upset factor of 2, Kadoran does not have the best history versus Sheik, which is already one of the harder matchups for Marth. And Jmook clutched it out versus Axe. In Losers Top 8, Spark won a Sheik Ditto versus Jmook for the first time. One of the biggest upsets in Top 8 this year, with the Pakistan Sheik being the 14th seed and the new SoCal resident being 4th. On the other side, Sunsei beat Meds, ending the Arizona Father's second deep Super Major run this year. In winter semis, Zayn beat Moki per usual, while Mango continued his winner's run by defeating Cody in a Game 5 set, getting the run back from Battle of BC. Moki dropped down to losers quarters and played Spark again. This time, the Sheik main barely won in Game 5, getting yet another upset in his best losers run to date. Cody had to play Sunsei again, opening the door for the Alberta Fox to get another win. However, Cody came in clutch to prevent a second loss to Sunsei by winning 3-2. Spark's historic run ended when he had to compete against Cody, losing 3-0 but still having an excellent 5-set losers run. In winners finals, Zayn and Mango played yet again after having multiple sets at Mango in Progress and SoCal Star League, with Zayn being the victor yet again. Mango then had to play Cody again, someone who he's had a good set record against lifetime and beat earlier in the day. But Cody has been becoming better in the matchup and obtaining more wins off of Mango. After 4 games, the SoCal Falco was the winner again, this being the 4th time this year where one of Zayn and Cody would be in Grands and the other would come in 3rd. Zayn and Mango played in Grand Finals, Zane was able to win that set too. April saw Zane catch up to Cody with 2 Super Major wins each. AMSA and HBox not enter anything, but still having solid results for the season, while Mango caught up to Moki and J-Mook with the Pat's House run. Spark, Sunsei, and Meds got some more great wins, with Salt and Crudo each taking more regional victories. May was a very competitive month with the Super Major and 10 regionals. It's Not You, It's Melee had 100 entrants again at the 14th version, with Junebug getting another NEM victory, this time over Maelstrom, Juicebox, Daniel, and Egg. Mango and Progress 6 had over 60 entrants with a lot of Southern California talent, plus a couple invaders. Axe, the Arizona Pikachu, got his first tournament win over the year, with Lucky, SUJ, Bobby Big Balls, Max, Curve, and Zio in attendance. Bodied 7 in Michigan had 107 attendees from all over the Midwest. Kyle Micnadator, the Donkey Kong with many names, was able to run it all the way up to first place over breakout stars Ossify and Morse Code 762, along with Ben, Zuppy, KJH, Essie, Mateo, Dreffin, and Balloon Day. The pre-local was an evening bracket right before a Super Major in Ontario, Canada, with over 80 entrants. B-Bats, the Tri-State Peach, was the winner over Faust, Preeminent, Ben, Pipsqueak, Max, Mateo, BZ, Prof, Frenzy, Ya Ryan, and Mayor. Ghost Town 2, an Oregon regional with over 130 players, saw Aura, the Pacific Northwest Peach, win the event over Zamu, Fiction, Spark, Shango, Nut, Stiv, and Curve. A New York event called Spit Your Game was hosted and attracted 114 players from all over Tri-State. Aklo was the victor over Fro 116, Lewis, Jojo, Kada, Kem, Kevbot, S2J, Toussaint, Rishi, and 404 Cray. Low Tide City is normally a major or super major, and while the top 10 didn't choose to attend this event, over 180 players entered the Texas Water Park tourney, several of which are top 100 level players. Magi won first place over Bobby Big Balls, Axe, S-Pop, Salt, Dark Hero, OKP, Prof, Frenzy, and Palpa. Creed 3 was one of the most stacked Pennsylvania Melee events ever, with over 160 players getting outplaced by J-Mook, including Kim, Aklo, Slug, Juicebox, 404 Cray, Toussaint, Malachi, Crike, Egg, Mott Money, Maelstrom, Unsure, The Swooper, Kevbot, and Dawson. Combo Breaker is a huge traditional fighting game event in Illinois that has recently been having larger brackets for platform fighters. Hungrybox was the winner of this almost 200 entrant regional over Magi, Essie, Blue, Preeminent, Ben, Wevins, Zealot, Max, B-Bats, Grab, Koopa Troopa 985, J-Salt, Lowercase Hero, and Chango. SoCal Star League 3 also happened in May, with 29 players that are pretty much all top 100 contenders. Honestly, SoCal Star League is like a diet invitational. It's great. Anyways, J-Mook won this event over Fiction, Mango, Axe, Kadoran, SUJ, Khalid, Curve, Lucky, Bobby Big Balls, Joshman, Max, Steech, Nut, and Zio. The Super Major in May was Get On My Level X in Toronto, Canada, the second Super Major of the year on the East Coast. In the first 6 months of 2024, GOML was the second largest event with 770 players in attendance, 8 of which were in last year's top 10. By far, the biggest upset of the event and probably of the year was upstate New York Donkey Kong Bing defeating the 1 seed Fox Cody. Despite DK mains getting a lot more attention in the past year, Bing wasn't on many people's radar. He wasn't even considered to be a top 5 DK and still was able to defeat one of the best players in the world. Bing proved that just because you haven't heard of someone doesn't mean they aren't good at the game. Some other upsets before top 32 were Kyle Micnadator defeating Spark, Morse Code 762 over Axe, Preeminent the Midwest Fox over Lucky, Michigan Falco Negative over Mayor, Ya Ryden, Prof, and Zuppy, Ohio Pikachu Blesse over Canadian Mark Beasy, Canadian Falcon GooseCon over Florida IT's Moth, and SoCal Puff Khalid, Mojo the SoCal Fox over Egg Money, Lowercase Hero over Pipsqueak, Ender DXG beating Mayor and Blesse, Virginia Chic Egg over Lexor, Null beating Canadian Falcon Nunn, Eric over Essie, NMFC over Max and Travioli, NorCal Fox Snap and New York Pichu, yes I said Pichu, Codeman, both defeated German Fox Rix, Ben Snape over Cliche, Liquid defeated Elliot, Irfan over Moth, and Toussaint beat KJH. Wow, there were a lot of upsets at this event. Once we got to top 32, Triff the Spanish Peach defeated AMSA, the Yoshi's first loss to anyone that wasn't Cody this year. And unfortunately, who else was waiting for him in losers but the Foxman himself, causing AMSA to get 17th as the 3rd seed. Similar to Moki and Leffen at Battle of BC, Placings are not the priority of many people involved with the rankings because wins and losses are usually more important. So AMSA losing to last year's number 1 to get 17th is a little different than getting upset by another player. A few other loser side upsets were Null over Kadoran, Toussaint over Ossify and Kyle McNadator, and The Real Thing defeating Lunar Dusk. In winners, Sunsei beat Wizrobe, which technically wasn't an upset by seeding, but was still an impressive victory, and then beat SDJ, one of the beneficiaries of the Bing Cody upset. Mango again had an easier winners quarters match due to an upset, beating Triff to make winner side top 8. Moki beat Hungrybox again, and Jmook took another set off of Zane, leaving 2 Canadian Foxes facing off along with Jmook and Mango on the other side of winners, getting a tiebreaker set for their 1-1 record this year. While Cody was having a great losers run beating NS Frog, Mateo, Kim, Wally, and AMSA, he couldn't get another super major win this time, as Michigan Samus Morse Code 762 took another set off the Fox main. Hungrybox played the winner of that set for top 8, so he cleanly 3-0'd the Samus like Jigglypuff is known to do. STJ beat Toussaint in the Puff Ditto, Aklo bounced back from an HBox loss and defeated Triff 3-0, and Zane beat Wizrobe in a close Game 5 set to claim the last spot in top 8. To this point, Zane and Cody had gotten top 3 at every event they attended, so Cody getting 13th and Zane barely making loser side top 8 cemented this bracket as the craziest of the year. Zane was able to keep going with a 3-0 over Aklo, and Hungrybox beat STJ in a grueling Game 5 Puff Ditto that, let's just say, caused a lot of discourse. Sunsei kept his winner streak alive by 3-1ing Moki, his 4th win on a member of the 2023 top 10. Jmook and Mango's 3rd set of the year was a slobber knocker with the Sheik main barely winning 3-2. Moki was sent down to play Zane, which was a routine 3-0, while Mango and HBox played for the first time since Genesis, this time Mango being the victor in a close Game 5. Mango and Zane played yet again, with the Marth winning 3-0. Now was winners finals, which was Jmook and Sunsei, the 7 and 8 seeds. Jmook won solidly, cementing himself in winner's side of Grand Finals and sending the Alberta Fox towards Zane. Sunsei got a victory earlier in the year, but Zane was able to win and get to Grand Finals. This was the 5th and potentially 6th time the 2nd and 3rd best players of 2023 would meet this year. Despite Jmook being the victor earlier in the bracket, Zane was able to win both sets to earn his 3rd super major win of the year, thanks to the longest losers run of his career. Zane takes the lead in May, with Cody and AMSA falling behind a bit. Mango and Jmook getting another good win, Sunsei locking in a top 10 spot, Morse Code getting a Cody win for the 2nd year in a row, and Bing making the world aware of his existence. June, the last month of the season, had a lot of important data to consider for the mid-year ranking. Moth won Good Morning South Florida over Prof, Vu, Walmart Shoes, and Nog. Cody dropped by The Works in Indiana and won the event over Zamu, Blue, and Majersk. Let's Go Springfield 5 saw over 80 players travel to the Missouri Regional, with Salt winning another event over players Malachi, Zamu, Ben, and Slowking. Mango in Progress returned with Ben the Minnesota Sheik being the victor over Lucky, Joshman, B-Bats, The Real Thing, Koopa Troopa 985, and Fiction. Invincible 8 had 100 entrants in Wisconsin, with Ben winning another regional, getting 2 unexpected wins on Wizrobe and outplacing Lowercase Hero, Preeminent, Slowking, Max, Knockout Man, and Moth. Smash Camp Newlands in Oregon had almost 200 attendees, with Louisiana Falco Magi able to get the win over Fiction, B-Bats, Aura, Logan, Spark, Graves, Casey, and Fizzwiggle. Kicked off was a pre-local in Georgia due to a super major being the next day. Over 120 entrants entered this bracket, with Aklo able to win over Zamu, Maybe, Panda, BZ, Dawson, Colble, Gatsu, Toussaint, Dreffin, Egg Money, Max, Balloon Day, and Daniel. The regional with the most interest of the year was Illinois Tournament Out of the Blue, with Salt winning yet another bracket with 248 other players, including Ossify, Ben, Dawson, Moth, Zamu, Essie, Blue, Preeminent, Max, Lowercase Hero, and Steech. And the final regional of the first half of 2024 was SoCal Star League 4. Fiction was able to get yet another Mango win, while Kadoran and Joshman were both able to get a victory over Jmook. Kadoran became the winner of the event ahead of Joshman, Fiction, Ben, Jmook, Mango, B-Bats, Lucky, Curve, The Real Thing, Koopa Troopa 985, Khalid, Nuts, Zio, and Army. The second major of the year was CEO, another traditional fighting game event that has featured Melee for years. 3 of the last year's top 10, Jmook, Hungrybox, and Wizrobe, were in attendance of the Florida Major, with over a dozen other high-level East Coast players. Losers top 8 consisted of Florida Icy's Moth defeating Florida Puff Komodo, and Alabama Chic Pog Epic Gamer defeating Florida Falcon Gatsu. Winner semis had the 3 top seeds in Panda, with J-Mook taking an unexpected loss to the 5th seed Florida Fox, and Hungrybox defeating last year's number 9 Wizroad. After that, Wizroad beat Mauve, J-Mook won against Pog Epic Gamer, and Hungrybox defeated Panda in Winners Finals, overcoming a player that beat him in the previous CEO. Wizroad surprisingly 3-0'd J-Mook, then beat Panda in a narrow Game 5 set, reaching Grand Finals against Hungrybox. The Florida Falcon clutched up and won both sets to take the event as the 3rd seed. And lastly, the June Super Major was tipped off 15, a historic melee event in Georgia. With over 500 entrants, it is currently the 3rd largest event of the year, and also one of the most stacked, with 9 of last year's top 10, including Pluck, who hasn't attended any other event this year. Some notable upsets before top 32 was Moth defeating 7 seed Moki and Texas Falco Bobby Big Balls, Zanya over Junebug, New Jersey Youngling Bambi and Pennsylvania Mark Lynx Winks both defeating Malachi, Florida Samus Wevins over Puff Main's 2 Saint and CPU Zero, New England Bowser Main Heavenly Bruised Pelvis defeating Texas Fox Billy Bo Peep, Unsure over 2 Saint and S Deems, None over Panda, Maryland Marth Crike defeating Lucky, Axe winning against Crudo, Carolina Falcon Simmons over Washington Puff Chango, KJH over Akir, Mayor over Paladin, Silver over Zasa, Blesse over Calvar, BZ beating Kobel, Moist over Mono, Hexjo winning against Kevbot, Kim over STJ, and Pog Epic Gamer over Unsure. In Winners Top 32, there weren't any more upsets, with 8 of the top 10 seeds getting to Winners Quarters. In Losers, Bobby Big Balls beat Panda, Kim over Crudo, Kodoran beat Aklo and Joshman, Dreffin beat Zamu but then lost to Moth, and Axe over SDJ and 9 seed Sunsei. Winners Quarters consisted of all Game 5 sets, with Zane barely beating Pluck, Mango getting another H-Box win, Cody narrowly beating Wizroad, and J-Mook getting a slight upset against AMSA. And for Losers Top 8 qualifiers, Axe kept his run alive by beating Wizroad, Pluck beat Salt, AMSA won against Kodoran, and Moki ended Hungrybox's 10-year Top 8 streak by winning 3-1 in Losers Top 12. Losers Top 8 had doubles partners AMSA and Axe face off with the Japanese Yoshi winning, and Plup defeating 7 seed Moki. In Winners, Cody beat J-Mook again. And on the other side, Mango shocked the world by 3-0ing Zane, ending a 10-set losing streak. Plup faced off against J-Mook in Losers Quarters, and opted to go Fox instead of playing the Sheik Ditto, winning 3-0. AMSA and Zane played for the 4th time this year, and once again the Dinosaur came out on top over the Swordsman, making the first time Zane did not get top 3 at a Super Major this year. And Plup picked up his 4th Losers win in a row, showing that he still does very well versus AMSA. Winners Finals was Mango versus Cody, and the GOAT extended his great favorable head-to-head record versus last year's number 1, sending Cody down to play Plup. Cody has historically done very well versus the former Floridian, this time being no different with the 3-0 that became Cody's 9th win in a row against Plup. Mango and Cody played again in Grand Finals, with the Falco winning 3-0 and becoming the only player this year to take a set off of Cody and Zane in the same tournament. Mango's performance at Tipped Off was the most significant result of June, while Cody caught up to Zane a little bit, and Wizroad got 2 more Hungrybox wins to secure his spot in this season's top 10. Florida players Panda, Moth, and Wevins all had good months, and West Coast veterans Axe and Kodoran got a good amount of top 20 level wins. Now it's time to figure out the approximate ranking of the players that met attendance requirements, which I have as attending 3 majors or super majors, with larger regionals counting as half a major. So players that only attended 1 major could be at 4 regionals to reach eligibility. Also, in case it was confusing, the top 10 I used for determining the classification of an event was last year's top 9 plus Leffen. While Aklo had a very good year in 2023, Leffen won a major and was a contender in other events. The only reason he didn't get ranked top 10 was due to not meeting attendance requirements, so instead of using Aklo as a top 10 member, I used Leffen. In terms of super major victories, Zane had 3, Cody had 2, and Mango had 1. Zane also had a slightly smaller victory at Full Bloom, and Wizroad won CEO. Event victories aren't everything in my opinion, because bracket pass and who is in attendance can make one victory more valuable than another. But first place is the best someone can do at an event, so it should definitely be somewhat recognized at the top level. Here is the head-to-head set counts for last year's top 9 plus Leffen from January to June of 2024. As you can see, Zane and Cody are the only players with a large positive record overall. as well as each having more wins than losses against 7 out of the 9 players on here. So, alongside both of their multiple Super Major wins, it's clear that they are the top 2. But who is higher? Zayn had 3 Super Majors and a Major, while Cody had 2 Super Majors. But does that head-to-head data suggest Cody is higher? I don't think so, considering Zayn had a slightly higher win percentage against last year's top 10, 73% to 71%, and Zayn has much fewer losses outside the top 10, with only losing to Sunsei at a regional, while Cody has losses to Bing, Morse Code 762, and Sunsei at Super Majors, alongside a Zamu loss at a regional. I think that while they are both significantly ahead of 3rd place, Zayn has enough positives to be considered the best player of the first half of 2024. After Zayn and Cody, it gets a little tricky. Mango and Wizrobe were the only other players to get a win at a Major or Super Major this season besides the top 2, but assuming that makes them automatically top 4 is not due diligence. Starting with last year's number 3 Jmook, he has 2 wins on Zayn, even versus Amsa, a win on Moki, and positive versus Mango and HBox. But I don't think a 7-11 record versus top 10 with losses to Spark, Joshman, Triff, Panda, and Kadoran is enough to get him the bronze. The main reason Moki had such a high rank last year was being able to get so many wins off of Amsa and HBox, and while he is still positive versus the Puff, and also has wins on Jmook, Mango, and Wizrobe, he wasn't able to farm so many victories off the Dinosaur, and only had a 6-9 record versus the top 10. He also had losses to Sunsei, Spark, and Moth, which aren't bad, but I think are enough to take him out of the running for top 3. Plup didn't meet eligibility requirements, which takes us to Amsa. The Red Yoshi was not able to get any event victories this season, but considering he got 2nd place at both Genesis and Battle of BC, has a 7-7 record versus last year's top 10 with a 4-5 record against the season's top 2, and only has 1 loss outside of the top 10, which was Triff at GOML, I think Amsa had just enough to be considered 3rd best of the season. I think Mango will be a lot of people's prediction for rank 3, and while I think he definitely should be top 4, his 8-13 record versus the top 10 with 5-8 against the top 2, and losses to Ossify, Sir Maris, and multiple L's to Fiction, I think that the tip-off victory is not enough to overtake those data points, so I have Amsa at 3rd and Mango at 4th. 5th through 7th is very close between Hungrybox, Jmook, and Moki. The Sheik and Puff both have 2 wins against the top 2, while the Fox has a better record against the lower end of the top 10. Hungrybox has a slightly worse win percentage against the top 10, with a record of 5-12 compared to Jmook's 7-12 and Moki's 6-9. While HBox was the only player that met attendance requirements to not lose to anyone outside of last year's top 10. Jmook had losses to Spark, Joshman, Triff, Panda, and Kadoran, who are all in contention for top 20 or higher, but are still not expected losses for Jmook. And Moki had losses to Sunsei, Spark, and Moth. I think that Jmook gets number 5 because 2 wins against the best player in the world and a very solid win rate against the entire group of 10 overtakes the amount of losses he has. With Moki at 6, since he has more wins and less losses than HBox against the top 10, additionally having less losses at the lower end of the top 10, which leaves HBox at 7, who has no upsets below the top 10, but unfortunately does not have very many wins and has losses to the lower end of the top 10. If you disagree with this order, that is totally okay. I think Melee Stats will have a lot of different lists, especially with this group of players. Next is Wizrobe at 8, who barely beats out the number 9 player due to fewer losses outside of last year's top 10. Leffen is also not going to be on the rank since he only entered 2 events, but with a 1-4 record against last year's top 10, he would probably be around this range anyway. Now, on to 9 through 20. If anyone out there does not have Sunsei in their top 10, they are simply mistaken. 4 victories against last year's top 10 and Zayn, Cody, Moki, and Wizrobe with a lot of good wins against top 20 level talent. He does have a fair amount of losses across the top 100 and wasn't the most consistent, but I think it is safe to say he should be at least number 9. We'll have to see if he stays in the top 10 for the remainder of the year. The last spot in the top 10 is tricky, as there are some players with multiple top 10 wins but aren't super consistent, while there are other players that won almost every regional they attended and did not get upset very often in Super Major. Specifically, I think the players with the best argument for top 10 are Fiction, Joshman, Spark, and Triff. They all have multiple top 10 wins and a solid overall record, but have varying consistency. For now, I'm going to have Joshman at 10, with Spark at 11, Triff at 12, and Fiction at 13. Spark and Joshman traveled a ton and picked up a few regional wins here and there, while also putting themselves in positions to face last year's top 10 as much as possible. Triff didn't travel very much, and despite having the best win in the group by defeating Amsa, he did not fill in as good of an overall record versus top 100 and underperformed at some regionals. and Fiction had a very good record versus Mango, but was very inconsistent across the board. Additionally, I have the rest of the top 20 as Aklo, Crudo, Salt, Axe, Kadoran, Panda, and Ben. Some players had notable upsets while others had very good head-to-head records versus their peers. The separation between these players is very small. I would not be surprised to see 30 different versions of this part of the list. Next is 21 through 40, which features these players. The further I go down, the more difficult it is to differentiate, so at a certain point, it may be better to look at them as a collective rather than specifically nitpicking who is better than another. Notable improvements are Meds, Lucky, Surmaris, Kyle Mictadator, and Aura. Here is the 41 through 70 group, which goes beyond what Melee Stats chooses to include for their summer rank, so some of these spots may not be expanded upon in other settings. Some players have increased their rank a lot to get here, while others have been household names that weren't as consistent this season. But rest assured, these are all amazing players. And finally, the 71 through 100 list, with some top 100 mainstays along with some players that haven't been on a top 100 before. These players have the potential to heavily boost or heavily sink their chances for the end of year rankings, but for now, they're on the right track. Well, what do you think? Is there a regional I missed or a rank I got wrong? Be sure to let me know in the comments below, or join our Discord server. Melee Stats will release an official top 50 ranking soon with multiple panelists, so I encourage you to also check that out. I will be doing one of these for Ultimate too, as well as other types of videos in the next week or so. Thanks for watching and have a great day.